Hi, this is Raj from MR Sportscars. In this episode of Diary Porsche Specialist, I'm going to go through and review the 991 Carrera 2S in a convertible and compare it to a 991 Carrera 2 Coupe. So they're both rear-wheel drive, but obviously one's got a 3.4 litre engine, one's got the 3.8. So first of all, we're going to go and take a drive in both, and I'll tell you exactly how they differ on the road. So this is the 911 Carrera. So it's rear wheel drive. It's obviously the coupe, but it does have the panoramic roof, which for those that want a open air experience in the convertible but don't necessarily want to leave a convertible out all year round because they haven't got a garage or whatever, the panoramic roof is a great sort of halfway house because it lets a lot of light into the cabin. You can open it up, and I'll just do that now. You'll hopefully still be able to hear me, but you get quite a lot of airflow through the cabin, which is quite nice. You can also just have it on tilt, which I'll do now. And it does help get some of the noise from the engine and things into the cabin. Obviously, you have on these 991 series cars, the Gen 1s, you do have active flaps which open up and let some of the exhaust sound in, depending on which mode you've got it in. If it's the car like this with Sport Chrono Package Plus, it will have Sport and Sport Plus. The sound of the engine will be louder in the cabin in the different modes. And the same with the exhaust. The exhaust note will actually change slightly because even though this car hasn't got the sports exhaust, it is a valved exhaust, so it does and you can hear it just sounds phenomenal. And you can use the PDK. So with the PDK you can have it in full manual, which is what I've got here. I've got it in Sport Plus, so all of the controls are instant and razor sharp. The throttle is in its highest response mode, and the gearbox also is changing as quick as it can. And it will have the active drive train mounts, PADM, so you'll feel the gear change more in Sport Plus, which is what I've got it in manual mode. So you can either use the gear stick like I am, so pull it towards you to go down a gear, or push it away to go up a gear, or you can use the paddles. So I've just put it down by pulling one of the paddles away, so I've just gone down a gear by pulling one of the paddles towards me, and you can push them away, either one, on this multifunction steering wheel, which is the optional steering wheel for this car. You could actually have the sport design steering wheel as well, which is in the manual 911 convertible, but obviously it doesn't have paddles because you've just got the 7-speed manual gearbox. I mean, with the PDK box in either car, you can feel very involved in changing gears, especially in manual mode. In auto mode, it's so responsive. It's also the biggest benefit for this gearbox in either car, the convertible or the coupe, is how well it works at low speeds. So you don't have issues of, in traffic, having to balance the clutch and the throttle to get going. You can just literally relax. There's positives and negatives for both, in that the PDK is less involving but better at sort of manoeuvring, low speeds, traffic, that kind of thing, city driving. The manual is more engaging when you're on a road like this, but it has a disadvantage of being tougher to control on hills, in traffic in cities, and you just on a longer distance journey, I think most people would prefer the PDK. On a racetrack, you might prefer the PDK as well, but on the road, on a B road, I think you might prefer the manual gearbox, or at least the PDK with the sport design steering wheel, which has full-size paddles. On the left-hand side, you have a single metal paddle which you pull towards you to go down a gear, and on the right-hand side, you have an identical paddle with a little plus which you pull towards you to go up a gear. So it's very intuitive. The paddles also follow the steering wheel, just like these little rocker switches do as well. And these are perfectly good. You can actually change gear with one hand, because each paddle will work up and down the gearbox, the 7-speed box. Both cars have 7 speeds, so at motorway speed they should do roughly the same fuel economy. However, the larger 3.8 with the manual box is a higher tax bracket for road tax, so it's in the region of 580-ish now, whereas the PDK box in either the 3.8 or the 3.4, which this car has got, is the band K, which I think at the moment is around £330 a year. So that's quite a significant saving, £250 a year just on road tax. They'll both achieve good miles to the gallon. You can expect sort of high 30s on a motorway journey, 37, 38 I've seen on long distance motorway journeys, but on average you would expect to see around, I guess, 28 to 30 in both on average, again depending on how you drive. This car's got the smaller wheels, so the 19-inch alloys, so the pliancy in it's got larger sidewalls on the tyres, so it is a bit more pliant over bumps, drain covers, that kind of thing. So that makes a difference to how it feels. It feels a little bit more supple and a little bit more comfortable than the convertible, but that's just the nature of fitting bigger wheels on the same car with about the same weight. They both weigh about 1.5 tons. They'll do 60 in about the same time. The manual gearbox convertible does 60 in around 4.3. This does it in 4.2. The horsepower is around 55 horsepower difference, but how the 3.4 delivers it means that to 60 there's not really any difference. I guess if you had the manual gearbox Carrera 3.4, then that would be around 4.5, so it would be slightly slower obviously than the larger capacity engine. So that 345 horsepower versus 400, and the torque I think is 288 foot-pounds in this 3.4, whereas in the 3.8 it's 325 foot-pounds. Both the peak horsepower and peak torque are at the same revs, so it's just over 7,000 revs is the peak horsepower on both, and the peak torque is just over 5,000. I think it's 5,400 RPM is the peak torque. So how they drive is very, very similar, but the 3.4 just feels that little bit quicker to respond as soon as you touch the throttle, because it's got that slightly light, smaller mass, and it's just more willing to go. But both are incredibly responsive and great to drive. I'm now going to switch into the 911 convertible for the second part of this driving section of this Diary of a Porsche Specialist. Right, following on from my driving the 911 Carrera Coupe with the panoramic roof, I'm now in the Carrera 2S convertible, which has a bigger engine and obviously the removable roof. So I'll open that now. Just bear with me a second. Let's pull out this junction. Right, here we go. So you can operate the hood up to, I believe it's 50 kilometers an hour, so somewhere between 30 and 40 miles an hour. You can put the hood up and down. I'm doing 30 pretty much bang on, and you just hold the button and it opens up. and it puts the windows back up as well, which helps with the sound of, especially on this video. And I'll also put the wind deflectors. There's an electric wind deflector, which I'll just show you a video of now. And that wind deflector actually really helps control any buffeting when you're traveling at speed, sort of up to 60 miles an hour. It's perfectly fine. Motor, I'd say you'd probably want the roof up. I've actually put a jumper on now because it's not the warmest day in the UK here, but that's one of the things to bear in mind when you drive a convertible. If you want to use it with the roof down, you've got to put on a few more layers, possibly even wear a hat as well if you're precious about your hair. But this car's very special because it's got the 7-speed manual gearbox, which, as I said, is a very rare box. Around 80 to 90% of all 911s of this era, the 991 series Gen 1, were PDK. So there's very few manuals. So if you're looking for a specific spec of colour, exterior, interior and options, you might be better off just settling for a PDK, because the manuals are few and far between. When they come up for sale, it's very rare, and obviously you can't change the colour, or there's certain options you can sort of retrofit, like steering wheels. You can change steering wheels. You can add the Sport button and Sport Plus if you want to. Even if you don't add the Sport Package Plus clock and stopwatch, you can have all of the buttons here. You can retrofit the Sports exhaust. Now, the manual gearbox car immediately feels more involving. You obviously have the third pedal, but also that clunk of the gear is more pronounced than in the PDK of the Carrera. These cars are the same width, but this has 20-inch wheels, so the ride is a bit harsher than in the 19-inch wheel Carrera, which has bigger sidewalls on the tyres. But also the big difference is the engine. So the Carrera has a 3.4 litre flat six, which produces 245 horsepower. This has a 3.8 flat six, which produces 400 horsepower. And this produces 225 foot-pounds of torque, whereas the 3.4, as I already mentioned, produces 288. Acceleration times are about the same, and this will do 60, I think, in 4.3. The Carrera 3.4 PDK will do it in 4.2, so there's not much in it. It's just how they deliver power. This feels more punchier, I'd say, throughout the rev range. The 3.4, the lighter, smaller engine, feels more responsive and in immediacy terms, but they'll feel the same in terms of getting up to a specific speed. They will be more or less identical. I think the top speeds are very similar. The convertible is probably about 180, and the 3.4 Carrera is 178 from memory. This car just drives beautifully, even with the roof down. You don't feel too disturbed in here. There's a lot of cyclists today, which is fair enough. I love cycling as well. I probably wouldn't cycle on this B road though, which is one of my favourite driving roads, and a great driving road for bikers as well. Now, with this car being really nicely spec with the PASM switchable suspension versus the Carrera, which doesn't have the switchable suspension, it feels more planted on the road, especially with that button pressed. With the bigger wheels as well, yes, it's a bit harsher ride, but it also feels a bit more direct, as does the gear change. Obviously, you've got full control. Rather than having it in a manual mode on the auto, you've got complete control of where the biting point is. You can sort of feather the power in. You can rev match and heel and toe to your content, and you get the feedback. And no matter what speed you're driving, there is more feedback and engagement with this being a manual gearbox car. I think with having the roof down as well is also another level of engagement. So that's a big plus for me, is being within your surroundings adds to the speed, adds to the drama, adds to the specialness of the drive. And if either car is a fun summer weekend car, and you've got somewhere indoors to store it in winter, or even if you haven't and you can look after the car through winter, I would say the convertible is probably the car that's the more exciting, more special feeling out of the two. The other thing I haven't mentioned yet, which is the exhaust. So both cars have got a non-switchable sports exhaust, so they're not the sports exhaust option, but with it being the convertible and the 3.8, it's got more of a guttural sound than the 3.4 Carrera Coupe. You hear more of the well, not backfires, but sort of spitting and cackling. And it will do more of it as well, so on overrun you'll hear sort of like a bubbling, which is very addictive to listen to. And I think that's where I leave it on the driving side. Both cars are phenomenal, but the convertible is obviously going to have an extra level of engagement. The rigidity is the same, the chassis feels the same, there's no scuttle shake, there's no rattles and problems with how it rides on the roads. So really I think I'd give the Carrera Coupe sort of 8 out of 10 versus 10 out of 10 for a manual gearbox convertible. And now I'm going to compare the two side by side, standing still, so you can see some of the styling and options and equipment levels between a coupe and a convertible. Okay, so now you've seen how they drive differently, how they feel from the driver's seat. Now I'm going to show you exactly how they differ on the outside. So obviously this one's painted in a lovely bright white. This is pure white, whereas the Carrera 2 Coupe is finished in deep black pearl metallic, which has got a lovely silvery metallic effect to it. You can just see it with the sun out now. The interiors are different as well. They're both extended leather, but the Carrera 2 Coupe is extended black leather, which you can see there, and the convertible has that beautiful Carrera Red extended leather with a very special order set of GT3 fixed back carbon seats and manual gearbox. And in contrast, this has Sport Seats Plus, which are more conventional but are still a nice option. The grey hardback with the enlarged bolsters, 4-way electric, so they are height adjustable, and you can also adjust the angle of the back and obviously move it forwards and back manually. And that's got the 7-speed PDK. The steering wheels are different as well, so this has the multi-function steering wheel with the rocker switches to change gear in auto or manual mode on this car. And the convertible here has the sport design steering wheel. It doesn't have heated seats, so there's a blanking plate there. It doesn't have the electric folding mirrors, but the mirrors can manually fold in and out in exactly the same way they would electrically on the other car. It has PASM, switchable suspension, and the sport button, but it doesn't have sports exhaust, but it has start stop, and you can turn the traction control on and off. They both have the full 2-zone climate control system. The front boots are actually the same size as well, so I'll just show you those as well. So here is the Coupe. There we go. All the tools at the side, warning triangle there. And it's exactly the same in the convertible. No differences there. They have different headlights, so these are the standard silver finish bi-xenon headlights, whereas these are the optional PDLS Porsche Dynamic Lighting System. They're still bi-xenons, but they finish in a black plastic as well, so they're called the black edition version. You can get them in silver as well. and that bezel rotates as you go around corners, so it lights up as you are going around the corner, and lights up further around, making it a little bit safer. This car's fitted with a body kit, so this is another option over a standard convertible. So it has a fixed rear spoiler, whereas as standard, which this car is, it has the spoiler which goes up and down at speed, which is this section here. This has the optional clear tail lights, as does the convertible as well, and it has the optional tailpipes. They would normally be ovals for the 3.4 litre models, rather than the quad exhaust that you find on all S models. Neither have the sports exhaust, but this car has sport chrono. So it has the stopwatch and clock on the top there, and it has Sport Plus. It also has launch control as a result, and PADM, so Porsche Active Drivetrain mounts in there as well. There's the button for the folding mirrors, and there's the heated seats as well. And I'll just show you the roof open as well. So that's the roof open. So the panoramic roof is a lovely option on these cars. Really opens it up and gives you some of the open air experience of the convertible. It's more suited to all weather, all year round driving and leaving outside. This obviously needs a little bit more care on the fabric roof. I'll just show you it with it up actually, because it does actually look, this is one of the best Porsche convertibles in terms of aesthetics with the roof up, because it's actually slightly lower, and I'll show you that in the file in a sec. There's the windows going up. This has optional privacy glass on the sides at the back. This one has optional privacy glass as well from the factory, just those sections there. So it's such a shapely hood. As you can see, it's a lovely sort of angle there that comes down. It's glass heated rear screen. There they are together. The aero kit front bumper also looks very different. It's got a separate outlet, separate inlet there to feed through there, as well as the big opening at the side, and a lower plastic front splitter. Here it's got sort of a plasticky and rubber strip at the bottom with just single outlets there with blanking plates at the side rather than big openings, and a blanking plate in the middle on both. I'll just show you the actual dimensional differences because I print them all out as a PDF. So the convertible is 1808 wide, the coupe is 1808 wide, so the same. The height 1292 versus 1303, so it's about a centimetre lower. Length is 4491, 4491. Fuel tanks are the same. The front track 1538 versus 1532. Rear track 1516 versus 1518. The wheelbase is the same. The wheels are a different size actually. I'll just talk through those on the car. They're 19-inch wheel, 19-inch diameter on the Carrera and 20-inch diameter on the Carrera 2S, and they're different tyre sizes as well. 245/35, 295/30 versus 235/40, 285/35. So the sidewalls are quite a bit bigger on the 19-inch wheels, and you'll see that. 3.8 litre, 400 horsepower, 400 horsepower, 325 foot-pounds versus 345 horsepower, 288 foot-pounds, all at the same peak revs. 4.3 to 60 for the convertible manual, and 4.2 for the coupe 3.4. Very 178 versus 187 miles an hour top speed, and the weight is about the same, just under 1.5 tons for the two of them. They both have Sound Package Plus, which is a 9-speaker system. 9-speaker system, 235 watt system. So yeah, the wheels, you can see there's a big difference in the sidewall here. These are the Carrera V wheels, 19-inch wheels with quite a chunky sidewall. They're obviously Porsche rated Eagle F1s, Goodyear. And these are 20-inch Carrera Classic 2s, and the sidewall is quite a bit thinner. These are Pirellis and they are Porsche rated as well. Brakes are a different size, so that's a bigger caliper. Also on a Carrera, as standard, they would be black, the calipers, but these have been changed to red. But yeah, the calipers are bigger on the S models, but the discs, I believe, are the same size. Calipers on the back, there we go. I'll just show you the caliper on this one as well. This car has tyre pressure monitoring as well, so it's got that, and it's got some extra displays as a result. So it's got the tyre pressure monitoring screen, chrono, and G-force. None of those screens are on the other car because it doesn't have Sport Chrono Package Plus or tyre pressure monitoring. So the screens on that system do change depending on what options you have fitted to the car. You can actually disable screens as well, and I'm going to be showing that in a different video. So you can turn screens off, turn screens on. I discovered that because I bought a Sport Chrono Package Plus car and it didn't have the chrono screen or the G-force screen, and after some looking in the manual I realized that someone had actually gone through the menus and actually turned them off. You can very easily turn them on, and that'll be described in another video. Well, I hope you found this video useful. If you have any questions about these particular models, 991 Gen 1, please don't hesitate to get in touch. Thanks for watching.